It's been a while since I did a video where I provided feedback on Grounded. In fact, I think it's been a couple of months where I actually just went in and looked at stuff and kind of just said, here's what I'd like to see, here's what I would change. Today it's going to change, and I'm not going to go full in blown depth of like every little thing that I would like to see added, changed, modified, or whatever in Grounded. I just want to address some of the recent stuff, and the reason for this is because my experience yesterday playing this new patch and then also reading the comments from on my latest video from my community and also having people chat in my live stream last night has just kind of made me want to make this video real quick. So I'm going to kind of try to keep it short and just to the point, just let you know kind of what I'm thinking about this update or these updates in general. So first off, I'm happy that they're patching the game at least weekly, it looks like. So we're getting one update a week. That's good. But what I think is the big issue is that people, and this is, I'm just going to go to the comments real quick to show you what people are not happy about. Personally, when I read through the patch notes, I was kind of okay with them. Of course, I don't like things being nerfed either, but that is the big sticking point for a lot of people. So if I just skim through some of the recent comments, what is the reason for any nerfs in this game? It's a single player co-op story-based game, or the insects complaining. Then this person says you can tell the devs actually care, but the response says if they cared, they would stop nerfing every fun thing in the game. Next up, surprise there's no buffs to Firing Club. It's weakest tier 3 weapon. The sprint thing sucks. So here was a great thing. When I booted up my stream last night, the first thing I did was I wanted to test Natural Explorer. So the Natural Explorer mutation got a buff of, where is it? It's Natural Explorer movement speed increase change from 3,610 to 20,3550. I put that on and I felt like I was the Flash. I was just flying all over the place. The problem is, this second part here, now gets disabled when fighting creatures. What ended up happening was there's a bug with it where if you get in a fight with a creature, and it seemed like it might only be passive creatures because I was basically just testing it out on aphids and weevils, is after you do that, you literally cannot sprint no matter what. No matter if you take the mutation off, no matter if you put on the aphid slippers, doesn't matter, you can't sprint. Clearly a bug, not intentional. So what I had to do was I quit and came back in. It still wouldn't work. I had to reload an old save from a couple of hours ago, prior to the stream, to be able to have it work again and just make sure I don't use Natural Explorer and tell everybody not to use Natural Explorer. So good thing added, but it doesn't work. We'll go back to that in just a second. Then we have here, I have an issue with the nerf on the Tick Sword. So basically, I'm not going to read all these comments. These kind of developers that nerf everything and don't fix things people are complaining about till way later. Mantis lags my game, we know that. After the update, my Mantis armor doesn't work anymore. Bleeding and crit disabled. Nerf the Tick Sword, stupid, stupid, stupid. I don't know what to build now without poison. So here's another thing that happens is, in this patch as an example, and I'm pretty sure in a previous patch, we can go look at those. This one didn't really have much in it, but I think it was 1.2, and I kind of called this. After the 1.0 update came out, all I kept hearing was, oh my god, you got to do a poison build. The poison build's so OP, it's killing everything so fast. You can just kill the brood mother in like 30 seconds or a minute or whatever it was. You can just melt every enemy, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I'll test it out. But the reality was I didn't have the resources available to get it because I hadn't killed enough Black Widows and I started fresh. So I never got around to do proper testing on it. I did some testing on it in creative, but unfortunately in creative, I can't unlock all the mutations. So I couldn't get the full build on it. And I was going to get to it eventually. But all along in the back of my mind, I kind of knew this. In the past, what happened is when someone mentioned that something is overpowered, what ends up happening, and this happens with every game, this is not unique to Grounded, when things are when things are said to be the meta or they're just super OP, the developers for every game seem to just say, okay, well, we can't have that. We're going to have to nerf it so people don't use it. Because I understand the game has tons of weapons and armors and stuff like that. And if the super majority of people are using a small, tiny number, like one armor set or one setup or maybe two, then that's just not cool because you spent all this time developing all these other things. So the way of going about it seems to always be with every developer is to nerf, nerf, nerf. So the poison got fixed, I believe it was, in one of these updates. It was the one where they was applying poison damage to spiders when it wasn't supposed to. I'm trying to see where it is in here. I can't remember. I just know that happened. But I know yesterday, this was the big one for people, was they reduced the damage of the Widow Dagger, which is part of the poison build. They did change the immunity of poison. So some spiders, well, all spiders now take poison damage except for the Black Widow. So the 90% is probably going to be, the resistance is probably going to be for the wolf spiders and the brood mother, I would guess. The low end is probably going to be spiderlings and stuff like that. So you can use them against spiders now. So that's kind of a buff. But they nerfed the main weapon people use by 10%. They nerfed the base damage of poison effects by 10%. So basically what this means is that the poison build has now been nerfed twice. In this case, I mean, I think it was broken. They still didn't say the Mask of the Mother Demon was fixed. I didn't test that out to see if it's applying poison 100% of the time. But essentially, it's been nerfed, right? So then I get people saying stuff like this. I don't know what to build now. without the poison. So people spent the last couple of weeks, because they saw videos by content creators saying how good the poison build was, and through no fault of their own, they've now wasted dozens of hours, maybe longer, farming the resources to make these builds, all for them to basically be neutered because they were too overpowered. And I guess the reason this happens is because there was no public test server for 1.0 because they didn't want the new content to be spoiled. And therefore, what ended up happening was there's no way a small team of developers can possibly test every combination in every situation. It's not possible. That's why they did early access. So we, as the community, could test things out and give them feedback on it and see if things were completely broken or not, and it could be fixed before. Where, like, honestly, if there was a PTS for this, I'm sure the first thing that came up was, oh my God, poison's so strong. Because it wasn't just on YouTube. I saw it on Discord and Reddit. People were just saying how good the poison build was. And apparently people are saying, like, just blowing up right now on Reddit. I didn't even check Reddit. I don't want to go over there. Mad about the nerfs and stuff like that. So I think the one thing people don't like, and it seems, I think it's pretty, honestly, it makes sense, is this is a PvE game. This is not a PvP game. PvP games, you got to have balance. You can't have one character, one class, one weapon, one thing or whatever, just be so much stronger than everything else. So what would make sense to me is not nerfing things, but instead leaving them alone unless they are completely broken and not functioning as possible, and just make the other stuff better. As an example, these nerfs here are the focus of the update, along with the fact that there's a bug with Natural Explorer, which is like literally a game-breaking bug. But the things that are not being mentioned are the Mantis Scythe got a buff, using less stamina. The Broodmother Club Apex Predator got a buff. The Black Ox Armor got a needed buff because it was honestly just not worth ever using. The Prod Smacker got its damage increased by 50%. The Moth Armor got a buff because I don't think anybody was using the Moth Armor. The Sour Battle Axe got a buff. The Bee Armor got a buff. Bee Armor was like complete trash. I never used it. It got a buff. The Ladybug, and then you go down here and there's things that start going down, like the Compliance Badge got nerfed because people were using the... Guess, here's what the setup was. Just use a poison build with a compliance badge. If you perfect block, you apply the poison, and then you get healed off of it, right? I think that's what it was. So they nerfed that by 20% because people were literally turning invincible with that one setup. And then you got down here the Mantis Trinket, which I think has a really low drop rate because I've seen people saying they've killed 300 enemies, 300 Mantises and not gotten this thing, is that gets buffed. But so the buffs get overshined or outshined by, unfortunately, the nerfs, and it's because that's what people focus on. I have, like, my video, what was my favorite weapon? I keep getting asked during my live streams, what's your favorite weapon? What's your favorite armor? What's the best weapon? What's the best armor? I can't give a definitive answer in saying what's best because I don't know the actual numbers, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. All I can say is what I like and what I found to be useful, and once I unlocked the Tick Sword, I thought it was great. Because I don't always perfect block because I'm impatient, I just use the Tick Sword, and then I can out-heal everything. Well, now, because they've nerfed it, they've made it where it's just not going to be as useful. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to probably start recommending people use the Toenail Sword because the Toenail Sword and the Tick Sword were about even. When people said which one was better, I said the Tick Sword is better if you can't perfect block consistently because if you miss a block, you'll be able to heal. The Tick Sword, if you can perfect block, will literally just melt through things, right? I'm sorry, the Toenail Sword. Well, now the Tick Sword got nerfed, the Toenail Sword didn't, so here's what's going to end up happening. People are going to stop using the Tick Sword, they're going to start using the Toenail Sword, so what's going to be next? Patch 1.05, they'll probably nerf the Toenail Sword, because now that's the meta weapon that everybody's using, because it just does more damage. And that's just not fair. If you keep reducing the power of people, reducing the power of the characters within the game, it just doesn't become fun. And there's, like, one of the comments down here, I think, is it this one? This update has brought a few bugs that ruin the game for some. Using Natural Explorer can make you sub... Wait, this is not... Yeah, this guy finishes the comment off by saying, we'll probably be taking a break from Grounded. There was multiple comments that I saw where people were basically just saying, I'm just going to stop playing right now because the game's becoming less fun. And that's not what this is all about, because the whole point of these patches is to make the games better and make the experience better. And I guess, like, let's just go to my little drawing pad here, because I think here's what the issue is right now. And bear with me because I'm not very good at drawing. So can I draw a line here? 2D shapes. I want a line. So basically, we're going to draw my little line like this. Yes. We're going to draw my little line like this. So this is going to be basically my little, how the game should work, right? Ideally for a game, what you would like to have is going to be to have a difficulty curve where you're kind of introduced to the game. It ramps up to a certain point, and then you kind of level off. And maybe at some point you get super overpowered and the difficulty goes down. So basically what this is the bottom is going to be time. So down here is time. And then over here is going to be difficulty. If you would click. No, you don't want to click for me. Text here. We'll just say difficulty, right? And then we will flip this thing. This. And we don't have to have it perfect. It doesn't matter. It lets me move it. Now it doesn't let me move it. Whatever. That's fine. You get the picture. This is supposed to be difficulty over here. Whatever. The way grounded works is it kind of feels like this. Right? I mean, I'm trying to draw a straight line there. But basically, the game's hard at the beginning. And then it stays hard because the enemies get harder. And as your gear goes up, it's not outpacing it. And the reality is it should look more like this. So I apologize for my atrocious art skills, but I was just trying to get the point across. Like, people want to spend time to get overpowered to get stronger. You don't want to spend time just to be able to break even. That's just not fun. And I think a lot of people, a lot of the feedback I've been seeing was the old content, people are like, oh yeah, the game feels like it's paced really well, but as soon as I get in the upper yard, I just get smacked around and I get completely destroyed. Well, wait till you get to the eastern side of the upper yard, where literally every 3 seconds you're being assaulted by an enemy that can knock your health down by half on one hit. The ladybirds, the black ox beetles. There's places where you can get in a fight with a ladybird, black ox beetle, ladybird larva, green shield bug, and then a roly-poly will get involved because it accidentally gets hit by one of them, and all of a sudden you have 5 enemies just attacking you at one time. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the game being difficult, but at the same time, by the time I get up there, I should just be strong. So nerfing things is just not a thing. So I guess what I wanted to do was I wanted to come up with some points of what I think would make the game better and also help as the community give feedback on things. And the first thing is going to be stop nerfing, and buff the bad stuff, buff weak stuff, right? So like as an example, the B armor, nobody's using it, they buffed it, right? So whatever armors and weapons people aren't using, buff them. Don't nerf all the good stuff unless it's completely broken. Maybe the poison damage was doing too much, I don't know. Maybe the tick sword was doing too much lifesteal, I don't know. And that's gonna get to the second point is we need numbers in the game. We need numbers in the game. I wanna know exactly how much damage I'm doing with every weapon, because here's another example is gonna be that this, somewhere on here it says there was a bug fix for patch 1.4, it's something about where the staff was not doing enough damage. So as a perfect example of why we need the numbers, down here at the very bottom, upgrading magic staves actually increases the damage done from them. So essentially, if you were making a staff and you increase the level of it, right, it was supposed to be doing more damage. Well, apparently they weren't doing that. And I don't know, somebody did comment and say that they still weren't doing it, so I don't know if they are or not. Having the numbers in the game would help that, right? If I shoot my spicy staff, and it does 10 damage to an enemy, and then I upgrade it and it keeps doing 10 damage to the enemy, I'll be able to provide feedback saying, listen, my staff's not doing what it's supposed to do. I upgraded, it's doing the same amount of damage. If I shot the staff and it does 10, and the next one after I upgrade it does 11, then it does 12, stuff like that, then I can provide the feedback. So there's things where things are broken, like, oh, we have no idea if all the weapons are doing the damage they're supposed to be doing. We have no idea if the mutations are working as they're supposed to. We have no idea if the perks and the buffs are proccing or doing what they're supposed to do because we don't have the numbers. I spent a couple hours the other day going through the game code looking for numbers, and it was so hard for me to decipher the game code to figure out what the numbers were. There's no way a regular player is going to be able to figure all this stuff out. A normal player is going to play through this game, they're going to make a staff, and they're going to waste all these resources upgrading the staff and have no idea that staff is just not doing what it's supposed to do, and they've wasted all the resources. So we need the numbers in the game, because that'll just solve all these problems. Well, it won't solve the problems. It'll let us address the problems and just provide feedback saying this doesn't make sense, this isn't working properly, instead of having a small team try to figure all this stuff out on their own. Next up, I really think they need to bring back PTS for all updates. The reason they had the PTSs before was to make sure things weren't broke. They introduced an update yesterday that buffed a mutation, which was literally one of the first things everybody tried, and then it had a game-breaking ramifications where you literally couldn't sprint anymore. And the only solution was to literally load an old save. I think. I don't know. There might have been other workarounds, but I couldn't figure them out, so I had to load an old save. How many people are going to have that thing, turn it on, not even realize it's broken because maybe they're not using it. Maybe they're building a base or something, right? And they spend an hour or two in their base building something. Then they go run out to collect a resource and they get in a fight and all of a sudden it's bugged out. They've lost 2 hours of progress. If there was a PTS, that would have been one of the first things that was found. The PTS would also allow for finding things like, I don't know, bugs getting stuck in terrain. If you watched my stream the other day, I literally had a nervous breakdown because I was building for the last super mixer that's over on the eastern side, just south of the wheelbarrow. And I had a black ox beetle phase through the wooden post of the fence. We're not talking about like a tiny little wall that it phased through. It literally phased through a giant wooden post. And then it kept phasing through it until it got to my base and started destroying everything. Like, it started destroying the ash walls that I built because it got stuck in there, and then I had to go in and kill it. I lost my mind over that because it's ridiculous. Like, that stuff shouldn't happen. Last night when I was trying to do the final defense, I had fire ants stuck in the ground around where the final defense was. They were just stuck in there. And that's the kind of stuff that there was a PTS, we'd be able to report it. So now I'm going to report it. And what's it going to take? A week, 2, 3, whatever for it to get fixed? But it doesn't matter because it's already in the game. Those are just some examples of things. Like, I really think they should just have a public test server before any patch goes live. I understand they want to update things as fast as possible. And if it's a critical fix, that's fine, because like last night, but besides the Natural Explorer thing, the first half of my stream, I was enjoying everything. I was running around having fun. And then I was like, okay, I got to go do the final defense, right? So we'll just do that so we can see the good ending. And then I literally sat there for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. I can't remember the exact amount of time trying to get it to work. And it literally doesn't work. And the funny part is, I'm pretty sure it was patch 1.02. There was something in here that said that they fixed this, right? Somewhere on here, it says they fixed the issue of being able to, here it is. If you progress beyond the story of receiving the Big Excel, but did not get it for some reason, the game will grant you on your next load of save. This was like a week ago. Well, it didn't fix it, or it came back because now I had it last night and other people were saying the same thing. Literally, they could not finish the game. So I spent 2 hours reloading saves, trying to make the embiggening cocktail, doing everything I could possibly do, killing all the creatures around it, damaging the cells and then repairing them, bringing Wendell over, taking away, like literally everything I could possibly think of. Didn't matter. Couldn't fix it. And it was super frustrating. So having a PTS, I mean, that would just help that. So these game breaking bugs don't happen. And then beyond that, the other thing that I found was, if you watch my stream, and I'm going to kind of wrap it up on this one. I'm just trying to, like, there's only going to be one more point because I don't want to keep going. I'm going to do like a full blown deep dive video on this. It's eventually, once I can actually finish the game, which hopefully will be next week. The last thing I want to mention is the upgrades. And I just think everything in the game should respawn. All resources should respawn. All resources should respawn. Better not one-time things, right? If it's a one-time weapon or something, okay, great. It doesn't respawn. That's fine, a one-time recipe. But upgrade stones, candy. I've noticed people were like, do the candies respawn? I don't know, because I run around. The candy that's in the little pink car, sometimes it's there. It seemed like it respawned once, but now it's been like hours of real-life time and it's not back there. The candies that are in the sandbox, the one that's on the sandcastle and the one that's underneath the green bucket, have not respawned. The mints that are up on the cup on the shed deck have not respawned. I've noticed the only way to seem to be getting them is to go dig up treasure. If that's intended, then just tell us. I mean, I just don't understand what the point of that is, because all that's doing is stifling upgrades. But at the same time, having the quartzite and the marble stuff not respawn is literally like, it's more so on the quartzite end. I did a little quick math, so I'm going to show you my little quick math here and tell you how ludicrous this is. So to upgrade a weapon to level 9, you need 15, and we're going to say mighty jewels here just to be safe. Right, you need 15 mighty jewels. You need 15 of any jewel. With the other ones, you only need 1 of each supreme whetstone. With the mighty jewels, they require two supreme whetstones. 2 supreme whetstones. From what I've been told, there's a total of 255 supreme whetstones on the map. I don't know if that's exactly true. Multiple people said that. I have not verified that, but that was the number I was told. There's 85 of each tier 3 rock scattered around the map. Each one of them drops 3, so there'd be 255 supreme whetstones, right? And I can't spell today. So I think I counted properly. There was something like, I think there's like 18 or 19 tier 3 weapons, right? So you need 15 mighty jewels and you need 2 supreme whetstones. That means you need 30 supreme whetstones for 1 weapon level 9, right? To get it to level 9. It's 2 supreme whetstones per jewel. So that means in total, you're gonna need 30. So you're gonna need 30 for each one, and there's only 255 in the game. So if there's only 255 and we divide it by 30, that means at most you can upgrade 8.5 weapons, mighty level 9. Okay. Now in solo, that's probably okay because, I mean, I don't know. Most people probably aren't gonna want to upgrade everything, but let's say you're playing solo and you've upgraded some level 2 stuff. Maybe you upgraded the crossbow, the ant club, or whatever, to level 9. Now, you're not going to have enough to upgrade some of those tier 3s. If you're someone like me who just wants to try every weapon out, you're not going to be able to upgrade everything unless you want to start grinding black ox horns. If you're playing a multiplayer, this means that let's say you're playing with a group of 4, each of you is only going to be able to do 2 max level weapons. Is that fun? What's the point of having all these tier 3 weapons if the average player can only do 2 of them? If you find every single whetstone, good luck doing that. But the alternative is you can use black ox horns. So black ox horn, 1 can be crafted into 1 supreme whetstone. Okay. It takes 30 black ox horns to make the 30 whetstones. I'm just going to start abbreviating, right? Now, from my experience and from what other people have said their experience, it seems like the black oxhorn drop rate is approximately 25%. So it being 25% would mean you need to kill 4 black oxes, right, to get the horns, and you need to get 30 of those horns. So you need 30 horns, which means you're going to have to kill 120 on average black ox beetles to upgrade a single weapon to level 9. Now, I think I counted yesterday, and I believe there was like 19 black ox beetles on the map. So if we take 19 and we multiply that by 0.25, we're going to get about 4.75 per going around getting all of them, right? Now, apparently you can also get them as a drop from the Black Widow, the web sacks. I have no idea what the drop rate on those is. If it's like the ones for the web sacks, it's probably it's like the web sacks drop other drop the different resources. It's completely random, it seems like, and I don't know what % chance it is. Even if you can get those, that means you're still gonna have to deal with the Black Widows and the Black Widowlings. Maybe it bumps it up a little bit. We're gonna round it up to 5, right? So let's say you can get 5 per round of killing them. So I'm not even gonna keep going into this because I don't want to further bore you with the math, but I think you can see where this is leading to. Having the resources not be renewable is literally making it so the people that get to the end game and want to be able to try stuff out are just not going to do it. And they're going to be like the people we saw in those comments who are just fed up with this kind of stuff and they quit. So I'm sorry for rambling on for so long. I know I've been talking for like 20 plus minutes or something like that. I just wanted to mention these things. The main things is like up here is what I would like to see happen. This is my feedback right now. And don't get me wrong. I love the game. I know people keep saying, oh my gosh, all you do is complain. The reason I'm bring these things up, the reason I do videos where I just sit there and show myself cheesing the enemies is not to sit there and mock the game. I know game development is hard. This is a small team. I understand that. It's to show that these things are occurring so that hopefully they can get fixed in the future, or perhaps even if they don't get fixed in this game, maybe the developers can have lessons learned, and the next time they make a game, whether it's a sequel to this one, whatever the games they work on in the future, they can have lessons learned and say, we can fix it by doing this and make games in the future better. The only way to make things better is for people to speak up. You can't just do that in YouTube comments. You have to go directly to the developers. So go to their Discord. That's probably the best place. You can go to the channels there and just let them know any bugs you're finding specifically, any things you're finding that are just kind of like irritating to you that you would like to see fixed to make your experience more enjoyable. You can also share the things you like because there are lots of things I like about the game. But right now we're just kind of talking about this stuff because hopefully by next week, by the next time I boot up the game, when I go live, that we will be able to have all these things fixed and I will, well, at least have the final defense fixed so I can finish the good ending and move on to my new WoMo playthrough. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.